Well, I hope everyone's Tuesday went well. Mine is finishing off just fine. So anyway, things are chugging along. I'm halfway through my second week, and I'm starting to realize differences between different types of companies and jobs, and working for a large company versus a small one. And one of the things I've realized is, this job is certainly teaching me or I'm relearning how to be an employee. Not that there's any issue. I get along fine with everyone. I'm learning steadily. My boss is a good supervisor and teaching me steadily. Those first few days were a little arduous, but here we are. But that kind of brings me to my point. This is probably a suggestion to all supervisors everywhere. When you hire someone, whether it's an entry-level job or a high-level position, I don't think you should expect much of anyone as far as productivity goes, because it's a lot of stress just learning your environment. And a manager might not necessarily understand that, especially if you're not from the environment geographically. Obviously, the office is new to you. The people are new to you. And in my case, I have very little experience in this neighborhood. Subconsciously, psychologically, that can be arduous. And I'm not saying it's an excuse to complain, but that is something I've noticed. I'm in my second week. I'm finally starting to settle down. And now I'm learning faster because I don't have that stress of figuring out my bearings. So that's just something to consider if you're a manager or an owner or you're in hiring. If someone is not productive for the first week, you need to chill out and let them figure things out. So that's just my biggest recommendation for any supervising manager. A lot of people don't realize that. Like the first job I had when I came up here for the scammy job, I was sent all over the state. And my little 20-something-year-old manager probably didn't even have a clue. He knew I wasn't from around here, but what he didn't understand is how stressful it is to figure out certain towns when you've never set foot in a state. He didn't even understand. Well, where was I going to go with that? He didn't understand why sending me all over the state might be a little more challenging, since I don't know the area. And yes, I've been driving in a very, very busy part of the country, Los Angeles. So, that makes me accustomed to traffic and distance and patience and tolerance for other bad drivers. When you're not from a particular town, there are certain nuances that are different. The lines on the road, even though we all have equal driver's license rights, the experiences between states is a little bit different, and that will stress you out. So that's just something to consider. But anyway, what else did I want to talk about? So anyway, the company I'm working for is a very small MSP. The last one I worked at is a very large MSP, managed service provider, which means I'm an IT professional that provides work for other companies. This company is that provider. So oftentimes a company doesn't want to hire inside tech full-time because it's too expensive to hire full-time. The MSP side of the business, a company will pay a monthly fee and have us come in or remotely take care of their network. So what I've learned is, at the larger scale, my last company I worked for, by the way, is Toyota. There you go. So Toyota uses a very large MSP to employ most of their IT. The only IT that might not be on the only IT that might not be under the guise of the MSP is management. So that's how that works. So I don't work there anymore. They're not going to fire me. I've left on excellent terms, but so that MSP that hired me was hiring me through an agency, a temp agency, and they were only paying me $20 an hour. The job's probably worth twice that, so I had to move on. So anyway, some people think that you actually get paid a premium, and in some cases you might if you're hired through an agency because you're not getting benefits, but that's not always the case. If you're a temp, you're generally getting paid a lot less than what the job is worth, which is what my situation was. So here I am. This current MSP is small, so it's not. I'm not going to call it more management, but because the boss, the owner, he has so many fewer people to manage that I get more attention than my boss at the last job. So that's when you're looking for work. Consider that. Do you want to work for a very small company, even if they've been around for years and you think they're stable? That's the sort of interaction you should expect. You're going to interact with your boss directly far more often than in a very large environment. So I thought about that. When I add this to my resume, I'll be able to compare the two companies in words that someone reading the resume will recognize. Oh, he's worked in a very large environment and a very small environment, even though the service provided is essentially the same. So that's really what I was thinking. But otherwise, I'm chugging along. It's halfway due. Oh, my boss wants me to start at 7 tomorrow morning because we have to go do a house call for a company that's going to be too busy midweek or midday. They don't want us shutting down the network. So I'll be at work starting at 7 tomorrow morning. That's pretty much it. I guess that's all I have for now. So, this is the first time I've been able to talk for 8 minutes without getting interrupted. Usually the phone goes ding. Someone wants my attention. I got 2 or 3 friends from all over the country and family checking in on me. And every time I want to go to 10 minutes of solid talk, I get a text message or a Zoom call. Last night it was a Facebook message. But anyway, things are going well. It's been chilly, about 40 consistently overnight, but I got good, 40? 2 good blankets. That's pretty much it. I put a fresh t-shirt on just so I can feel a little more fresh. I don't feel like showering tomorrow morning. But anyway, that's all I've got for the day. Have a great day. Things to think about when you're working. Oh, that's the other thing I thought about. So in the past, our parents and our grandparents, they had pensions and pensions basically, which is why you'd spend 20 or more years at a company. These days, you generally invest less than 5 years with a company. Some of the experts will tell you don't spend more than a few years at one company. So if you ever thought about it, maybe traveling, and you have a technical skill set, well, I guess even if you don't have a technical skill set, you can do this. But because what I've done is taken a job way outside of my home, I've thought about this. Once I settle down, I don't necessarily have to settle down geographically. I could just take my skills and continue moving around every 6 months or a year. So I have 2 lights. This is my light over here, and this is my light over here. So both of them have an option to stay on full time, or if I stop moving, they'll turn off. So they're designed to be placed underneath the kitchen counter so that when you're moving around, they automatically come on, and then they USB-C charge. So when they no longer come on, you plug them into the USB-C port and they charge up. So that's why this light went out. I turned it on sensor mode instead of always on mode. But that's pretty much it. I guess I had a lot to say tonight. I'll check in tomorrow. Have a good night.